Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. Look, this is going to be a real good one, y'all, because I'm going to talk about how Frederick is continuing to go through his ups and downs, trying to make it through these last few months before he can be reunited with his brother at another facility, right? And it's getting harder for him because that is this guy that he was buying the heroin from, this guy is persistent. He is really trying to get Frederick back in the fold of getting high off of heroin and doing the things that he wants Frederick to do. But Frederick is pushing back. He's fighting, he's resisting temptation, and with the help of his family, with the help of his cellie, and of course, the Most High, he's making it. But again, this guy has been persistent, and I'm going to get into that now. And this is going to be where it finally comes to a head for Frederick, and it's going to be revealing, and it's going to be one of those situations where it's going to take a lot of strength. It took a lot of strength for him to get through this, right? So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, y'all. Like I said in the last episode, just because you stop and you try to clean your life up, it doesn't mean that the people that were benefiting from your addiction or sickness or irresponsibility are going to back away from you. They're going to continue to come because they feel like they have lost something, whether it be money, companionship, or whatever the case may be. They want that back. And this guy that was selling his hair to Frederick, he knew that he couldn't come back to that cell because his Frederick Selly wasn't playing with it. And he wasn't a sucker either, right? He knew that. So he waited until he could catch him, outside the cell. So he pulls up on him one day when he's outside the cell, and he's like, walk with me. Frederick, for whatever reason, decides to walk with him. It's something that, he told me, he said it was almost like he couldn't just say no to this guy. And he didn't understand what was really going on, but it was the pull of that. He really wasn't completely over, or past, let me say it that way, his addiction. It was still that if he hangs around long enough, maybe, you know what I'm saying? And that's what the drug dealer knew. I just keep him around me long enough, he'll do it. So he was walking with him in the pod, and everybody's watching. Everybody's watching. So the drug dealer dude, he does what a lot of them do. He starts to elevate his voice, gets loud. And he's doing it intentionally because he's trying to box him in. This is psychology, y'all. This is warfare. He's walking around in the pod, and you have people in the pod, right? Imagine, let me put it like this. Imagine you're in your living room. And you're in your living room and you got guests, right? And you're standing away from them by the fireplace. I'm not talking about a small living room, but even if it's small, you're standing at the fireplace and you're talking to your friend, your husband, your wife, whomever, right? And you're having a private conversation that is embarrassing to you, but not the person that you're having the conversation with. They're trying to push, trying to get you to do something that they want you to do, right? And they're willing to weaponize the information that they have against you to get you to do it. So what they do is they elevate their voice so that the people in the room can hear what you're talking about. So you'll say, hold up, stop, okay. Because you don't want all of that to come out. You don't want people to hear that. So that's what this guy was doing. He was elevating his voice. He's trying to box him in. He said, man, you don't want nobody to know your secret. You don't want nobody to know your secret. And that was making Frederick embarrassed. And it was a shame. He was ashamed of all of that because he knew what he had done. But this is something that the guy that was stealing the heroin didn't anticipate. He didn't anticipate that Frederick was serious about his change. He didn't anticipate that Frederick had been working on himself in a way to where if he stayed true to it, he would be just fine. He didn't anticipate that. He miscalculated, y'all. He miscalculated and he misjudged this man because he thought he had a way to get him. All I got to do is embarrass him. He don't want this information out. He didn't want it out. So guess what Frederick does? This grown man in prison, in front of all of these people, they stop. They stop at the microwave, right? So Frederick gets loud with him. He said, no more. No, you're not getting me no more. I'm not doing that no more. And you need to stay away from me. So dude gets mad. Dude gets mad at him. And he said, oh yeah, you gonna do it. And he pull out a pack. You gonna do it. Now keep in mind, the police watch. Police don't even move. They don't come to intercede or nothing. That's what Frederick told him. Police watching. The whole pod is watching and listening because both of them are going back and forth. Now, the pod know about the rumors, but they don't know it for sure. So dude just put him out there. He throw a Hail Mary. He throws a Hail Mary because he think it's going to put him in that position where he's going to be so ashamed he going to relapse. He said, man, you know you like it. You know you like it. You know you like it. You know you like doing this. You know you like doing that. And see, what he's saying is, you know you like sucking me out. You know you like it in your mouth. You know you like this. So Frederick is standing there looking at him. And he's boiling mad. And he's so angry and ashamed. He tells him, he said, no, I don't like it. And I'm not doing it again. And ain't nothing you can do for me. Nothing. He stood up to him. Now, don't get me wrong. Like Frederick, when he was talking to me, he told me, he said, man, tears was coming out of my eyes. He said, I was so mad. I was so embarrassed. I was so ashamed. But I didn't want to do that no more. I said, I understand that. I understand. He said, no. He said, you think that I'm talking about the oral sex. I said, so you did want to? He said, no. He said, it wasn't the oral sex that I was ashamed about. Even though I didn't like that. I don't like doing it. I'm not gay. That's what he said. He said, that what I was talking about is I'm not getting high no more. Because the getting high led to him doing all of those types of things. And I said, I get it. He said, if I don't do that, I don't do this. He said, if I wouldn't have been drinking and smoking that night, I wouldn't have drove that car. And all of a sudden, man, look here. I lit up. I lit up. Tear ran down my cheek when he was telling me this. Because I said, oh, he got it. He's got it. He had to come to that realization. It was like you couldn't embarrass him with the things that he had done when he was under the influence. You couldn't embarrass him no more. Because why? He put it out there himself. And yeah, I'm going to tell you, in here, even though you're trying to be honest and real and with yourself, people still look at you crazy. So they start yelling all kind of obscenities at him, calling him a boy, calling him this and that. And this, but he didn't care. Then his cellie, when his cellie walked over there to him, patted him on his shoulder, said, come on, man, let's roll. The pod went quiet. Because this brother here got respect all the way across the board. And when he patted him on his shoulder and told him to come on, all of that nonsense stopped. See, sometimes you got to have, and ain't no sometimes, we need somebody to support us. We need somebody to hold us up sometime when we're not strong enough to hold up ourselves. And that's what Frederick had in his cellie. So when he told him to come on, man, let's get away from this, he walked away. He told him his legs were shaking as he walked away, arms sweating. But he was proud because he pushed back against this guy that was trying to manipulate and use him to get him to relapse. And he said from that point on, he stayed away from dude. Had no more contact with this dude. He would sin and he wouldn't sin. And I said, were you mad at him? He was like, nah. Why should I be mad at him? I should be more upset with myself. He said, this is about choices, Joe T. He said, and I made choices, even though I made them under the influence. I made a choice to drink to get under the influence. I made a choice to smoke to get under the influence. I made a choice to get high, shooting dope and snorting dope to get under the influence. Everything that come after that, you don't get to excuse that because that initial choice led to all the other things. And I thought about it and I said, well, I might not agree with all of that, but I feel you. I feel you. But as I thought about it, I had to come around to his way of thinking. It's that initial choice. Now, I will say this. After you become addicted, I don't think it's a choice anymore. I don't. Because now it's doing something to you that you believe you can't control. But I'm not going to get into that. That's another show. It's another show. But anyway, what happened later surprised Frederick, his cellie, and everybody else. The reclassification coordinator, a couple of weeks later, bumped down on him and said, look here, you have a reclassification date. It was about 15 days away. He said, it's been requested that you be shipped to this other prison. And he was like, yes. He said, I'm trying to get near my brother. He said, oh, okay. He said, keep your nose clean. Show up at 9 o'clock at my office, and we'll reclass you and we'll get you out of here as quick as possible down there with your brother. So when he told his cellie that everything had worked out, they set up and they talked for the next few weeks. They talked all night. And he told him the night that he was getting shipped, they woke him up and told him to pack his bags because they wake you up early, y'all. I'm trying to tell you. They wake you up early. Sometimes they wake you up at 4. Sometimes they might tell you at 6. But at the end of the day, man, you rolling. So they told him to pack it up. He was on the next bus smoking. And before he left that cell, he hugged his cell and told him, he said, man, you're my brother now. You helped me get through this. And he said, I love you for that. And I appreciate you. And he said, man, stay in touch with me. If it's anything that I can do for you, I will. So they exchanged information. He packed up all his stuff, and his cellie helped him pack up his stuff. And when the doors popped, he walked down to intake. They got his property, walked over to transit. They went through all of his stuff, patted him down, chained him up, put him on the bus, and by that afternoon, he was with his he was with his brother at the other facility. He was with his brother, and that reunion is one for the books. That reunion is one for the books. When he got off that bus, his brother was waiting on him. He was waiting on him. He had gotten permission from the sergeant that runs transit to meet his brother down there, to help him out. He had talked to the unit manager and gotten his brother. He couldn't get his brother in the cell with him initially, but he got his brother in the unit with him. And, they had talked to the warden. Everybody understood what was going on. See, sometimes, y'all, I'm going to say this, sometimes these people will work with you. Sometimes. They're human. They understand every now and then they'll get it. Every now and then. I'm going to give them their props when they do, but it's rare. Okay? But they worked with him. And Frederick said he cried like a baby when he saw his brother. He thought that he said it felt like, when you meet somebody in the airport and you just coming off a long trip or whatever, you've been gone for some months, and you meet him in the airport and everybody hugging and saying welcome home and all of that. He said he thought he was home. He said, but he knew he was around somebody that loved him unconditionally. And this was his little brother. But here's the thing, y'all. Another place, another chapter. some more drama. Because the story don't end just because he gets to the facility with his brother. There's some more stuff that's getting ready to go down with this. And I'm going to let you know exactly what it is in the next episode, right? But at the end of the day, I hope that you've been enjoying this, right? I hope that you've been enjoying this, right? Because it's going to get even better, if you can imagine that. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.